India has just finished with its historic elections, which is probably the largest ever uh, number of people voting. At a scale, about 600 million people participated in these elections. And the it all this at the scale that we are talking about was held very peacefully and within a very short period of time. On 4th of June, the election results were declared on a single day for across the country, across the hundred thousands of voting stations. And it threw up uh, a result which was a bit of a surprise, but it ensured that yesterday the the government was sworn in, which got its third historic mandate. So, what does it really mean? I think as TechnoServe India, we can be very bullish on policy continuance, uh, and we can expect that the country would continue to be on the path that it has followed in the last decade or so, which has made it one of the fastest growing large economy in the world. So just to give you numbers, India has grown at about 7% GDP in 22-23, and the World Bank estimates that it would continue growing at about 7.8% in 23-24, which would be more than, just to set perspective, which would be more than twice the global average. Uh, this has in turn led to India becoming a very large consumer market. The purchasing power in GDP PPP terms makes India the third largest economy in the world with about $10.5 trillion of buying power. And that also leads to the fact that it's a very a market which is very attractive to most organizations, most corporates in the world, and one reason we see a lot of investments, etc., happening. Uh, so investments, to give you a couple of examples, India, and from a priority perspective, when we talked about the fact that there will be continuance, from a TechnoServe perspective, we would see continuance on agriculture, focus of the government on agriculture, focus on climate, employment generation, and focus on infrastructure. India, as many of us know, has one of the youngest working population in the world. It's a great dividend, demographic dividend, and we are seeing across from both policy making levels as well as from the government, the corporate sector, there is a lot of focus to use this demographic dividend well. We have worked with youths who come from deprived backgrounds or are from backgrounds where they're the first generation college graduates. And we have worked with colleges and institutions where we have had very tailored programs for them, which help them to become employable. So, an example of a softer skill would be communication. How do they present themselves? And then we didn't stop at that. What we actually did is we also worked with many of the corporates in terms of understanding what their requirements for fresh graduates were and tailor made the program for those corporates. And so it became a very good symbiotic relationship where our candidates found a easy had an opportunity to interview and had an easy route in some sense to interview with corporates which they would otherwise not have had a chance, and two, for the corporates, a ready-made pool of talent which was crafted for their requirements, and it worked out very well. About 70% of the students we worked who went through our skill building program went on to get a job compared to 27% who didn't work with us. The farmers, as many of us may be aware, are a very large part of the Indian economy. India, about close to India has the second largest arable land in the world, as many of you probably are aware. And it also is a dominant powerhouse in quite a few crops and commodities. So, for example, India produces about a quarter, that's about 25% of the world's milk today is produced in India. It is by far the largest producer of a few crops as well. So, pulses, India is the largest producer, is the second largest producer of rice, wheat, sugarcane, cotton, fruits, and vegetables. It's about 50% of the country's workforce is actually employed in agriculture. So, which means that there is a lot of focus currently from the government over the last 10 years, and we expect to continue. Of course, just like it's affecting the rest of the world, I think we are seeing unprecedented temperatures. So, last week, I think in the last fortnight, Delhi recorded unheard temperatures of about 52.3 degrees centigrade. You will have to convert it into Fahrenheit. But that was the highest temperature ever recorded in Delhi. So when you record 52.3 in Delhi, Delhi is in the northern part of the country. So you can imagine what the temperatures would be in Bikaner in Rajasthan, which is close to the Thar Desert, right? And these are challenges that our farmers, our even our people on the ground, people who work day to day for work, also face. And it's a challenge which there is no easy solution. For example, we work with Walmart and we work with Cargill. With Cargill, we work on the largest regenerative agriculture program that Cargill has globally. Cargill hopes that working with us, they would be able to figure out solutions on region on a prioritized basis, which they can deploy across Asia and the region and globally as well. Uh, the impact is huge. We are talking about 10,000 farmers, 25,000 acres of land, and equal quantities of carbon and carbon sequestration, etc. What we try to do in our programs is to figure out locally what kind of interventions can work and to help alleviate or reduce the suffering or the yield drops that are natural. What works really is one has to work with the farmer, understand her difficulties, and come up with practices which impact her the least in terms of cost and the effort. We are now seeing a lot of spillover effects. So people who are not part of our program, I mean farmers who are not part of our programs across many of these villages have started adopting a lot of our practices that we have been showing. For us, that's real success.